but also
Go.
that you do have that foresight.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Creativity. I'm so glad that you're joining us. And I want to take a second just to show gratitude for all of the people that have subscribed to the channel. And I want to remind everyone to subscribe and like and share. Hopefully, you're getting something out of these videos, getting some inspiration. And also below the video, there's contact information for myself and my guest. And if you would like to be added to my newsletter, just drop me an email and I will do that. So I'm very excited to have you join us tonight and meet our wonderful guest, Toni Shining Hawk. So welcome to Soul Creativity, Toni. I'm so glad
Thank you.
you're
Thank
joining
you
me.
so much for having me. So much. I'm so grateful that that you have, given me this opportunity to sort of just be in this moment in time. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm really glad to have you join us because we have a lot of exciting things to talk about. And Toni, like every other guest I've had, is a wealth of information, and she does do tarot readings, and also you have several healing modalities that you work with, Toni, I know. And also, before we get into any of that, I was just thinking about, what a fun time of the year it is, and Halloween's right around the corner. And I was thinking about the Gaelic celebration or festival of Samhain at this time of the year. Yeah, when you're changing from the harvest and like the plentiful going into the dark half of the year, which is something that I really like because I like that I'm an introvert by nature, and I like that contemplation time and quiet time. And so we were talking a little bit about that before we went live, and the thinning of the veil, and you know, a good time of the year to go into contemplation and connect with your guides. But you were talking a little bit about how you think the veil has been thinning anyway. So
Yeah.
maybe you'd like to talk a little bit about that because that's really interesting.
I just have the feeling, and based on what the energies that are swirling around right now, it just feels, the energy feels as if the veil is thinning, and not just at this particular time in the year. It's just has been thinning, over time, and it's a sort of ongoing thing where it used to be set, and you could know that this is when I can connect with spirits, and Halloween, and the veil is thin. But now it's kind of open season, and the veil is thinner, and we're moving up, and get on the train because we're going. The bus is running. Get on, because we're moving through that veil, and we're connecting to a whole nother level of awareness and reactivity. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
great.
me, I see part of that, when you're saying get on the train, for me, it's always the creativity that is really rising to the surface now, taking on new meaning. And so much of our creativity, we always think of it as being sacred, and that we, can create from that divine spark within. And I think, as the veil thins and as we spend time connecting with spirit or our inner wisdom, or however you like to think of it, it makes the creativity rise.
Yeah, and there's
Even more.
so many people who have come to the planet and have matured in this amount of time that we are here. We've been here, you and I, people who have come in as star seeds, or you have all of these younger people who are coming in with all of this energy that is already at a level that we had to work ourselves up to, right? So they're already coming in with that, and we've been, pounding pounding on the door saying, come on, let us in. But they already have it. So I am excited. I'm getting chills on that. We're getting real change is coming through, and it's going to be because of all of these younger energies that have come in. They're younger in age and physicality, but they're older in age in their spirituality. So that is a blend that we are just sort of getting used to. Like I said, the veil is thinner, and it's an ongoing thing, and it's just not the one day or one time of the year. It's all the time because of all of the new energy. That's not a new energy, is not new, it's just always there, but
Right.
all of the new energetic bodies that are here, and they already know what to do, it just
Mhm.
instinctively, where we have had to study, 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 study. So
I was thinking too, when you're talking about, the new or the energy coming in now, when we were really small, and as you grow, that's kind of driven out of you,
mhm.
as you, especially by the time you're going to school, and you're conforming to the traditional ways of being. What I think is exciting is that these, newer beings coming in, that's not going to be driven out of them. So he's even going to
No.
hold to that, and actually start showing, maybe other people the way to be. So I think that's a really exciting time, and exciting for all of us to be able to witness that. I know you do tarot readings. Do you, with that sort of continuous thinning of the vow and being able to connect to our spirit guides, or, inner voice more, have you noticed a change in your tarot readings at all due to that?
I know. Well, I do tarot. It's uh, the way I learned tarot is just. I don't know if you know anything about mystery schools at all,
Mhm.
but I've been a part of a mystery school for a while, and what we do use tarot is not really for fortune telling. We use
Mhm.
it to move through the blockages that we have for self realization, so for self awareness, for moving up that level, moving up the level, and we use the cards for that because every card has its own meaning, and the color means something, the placement of this or that means something, the amount of stars, the amount of yods, the amount of, so there's so much to know about it, and it's so much more than just sort of telling the future. It's really a way of life, and a way of looking at life in a way that pulls you out of the lower vibrations, and really set your feet on a higher level of vibration. So
Mhm.
that's how I learned the tarot, and that's how I use it. I use it in my healing work as well, as a Reiki master. I do, when I do Reiki on someone, I will pull cards for them, and depending on what the cards say, depending on what colors are involved. So like this, the Fool is
Mhm.
this card is yellow. You see some orange in there, of course, but the bulk of this card is yellow. So I will take this as a third chakra card, and
Mhm.
then I will use it as, if this card comes up for someone, it just means that they're blocked in the way of moving forward with the thing that they want to create. So this might be stopping them from taking that leap of faith if there's a blockage in the third chakra. So that's how I use the cards. And then I also use these cards, which are chakra cards, and I got these from Etsy, and they're called the Kaleidodope deck.
Okay.
And I use, I'm going to stay with the third chakra. If I stay with the third chakra, this says self-esteem. So
Mm-hmm.
then I know if I've chosen this card, if this card has come out, then I know that that person is having maybe, a little trouble figuring out where they belong in a certain situation, or in a certain place, maybe in their job or whatever. So their self-esteem may be at in question, or they may have too much. They may be
Mm-hmm.
so driven and ego driven that this is something that is, there's so much energy congested in that area. They could be, overconfident. So
Yeah.
you want to sort of balance that out, balance those energies out, so that they go into a situation knowing that they are completely balanced. They're not going like, "Oh yes, I'm so confident," and there's nothing wrong with confidence, but you also
Mm-hmm.
have to balance that with a bit of humility that allows you to listen as well as speak. So that's how I use the cards in my work, in Reiki work, and in my shamanic work,
Mm-hmm.
which is the shamanic work is a, it's like it's a solitary kind of job to have, unless you're doing ceremony with other people, or you're doing a sweat lodge, or you're doing um, going out into the desert to have to look for answers or wisdom, whatever it is that you're looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
I just, out of my head, I can't think of what the word I was trying to say was, mm,
Vision quest.
yes, vision quest.
So I know, when you're talking about the how you use the tarot cards, mystery school, and working with the chakras. I mean, that all leads me in the direction of, shamanic practices.
Hmm.
And I have studied different shamanic practices for quite a while, and I love shamanism. I've always been drawn to it since I was a child, though I wouldn't have known at that time what it was.
Hmm.
And so, you and I were talking beforehand, and I have heard you speak before about your at least first Vision Quest experience. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that, but maybe just let listeners know, like why would you want to do a Vision Quest and what's the purpose of it?
Um, a vision quest, when you set out for a vision quest, it's all about finding not answers to things outside yourself. It's all about
Mhm.
finding answers about who you are inside. So you'll do a vision quest, and maybe you'll have spirit animals show up, or you'll have ancestors who show up, or angels could show up, and they will give you information about you, who you
Mhm.
are and what you're about, and what maybe you can do to work on yourself. And it comes in pictures, sometimes it comes in sound, sometimes it comes in just words that you hear. I went to a mediumship class once, and she was saying, concentrate, and think about who you want to contact. And my ear, this whole side of my head, just lit up, and it was hot, and I had this ringing sound in my ear, and it just reminded me of my grandmother. And I was like, my grandmother, no. And before I knew it was my grandmother, but I asked her who it was, because she's the medium, right? So I
Mhm.
said, I have this thing going on with my ear, and my whole head is hot. And she's like, that's your grandmother. And I knew it was her, because she's the only one who screams at me like that. So when you go on a vision quest, usually the process is that you will fast, and you will do meditation and put yourself into a space where you are open and are allowing spirit to come in whatever way it shows up. So a few days before, you'll do like a small fast, but the day before you'll eat nothing whatsoever. You just drink water, no coffee, none of that stuff. And then once you get to the place where you are, I usually go out into nature, get into a tent and just hang out there and pray and sing and drum and rattle and do all of the things that I know. Once I'm in that protective circle, do all of the things that I know that connect me with spirit. And then you just wait and you wait and be patient that something will happen. Something um, will transform some part of you into on the way where you actually want to go. Like I was telling you before, going to Yosemite right before I went, the day before, this in this huge traffic circle, and there's tons of cars there. So what happened? There was this huge stag in front of me with the huge antlers and everything. You can't miss this thing. This thing was huge, but I am the only one who saw it. Because I'm looking around and nobody else is acting crazy, so it must be me. And as soon as I turned back around, it was gone, and there was no way it could have taken off that fast. I know deer are really fast, but this was, there were too many cars in the way, and trees in the way, buildings in the way, and in the middle of the city, you don't see stags in the middle of the city. So I knew that it was a message from spirit that I was protected for this particular vision quest, and I didn't have to worry about bears and things like that, because in Yosemite that's what you worry about. So you want to do a vision quest when you are at a place where you're feeling, maybe you're feeling a little lost, or you just want to progress to the next level. So you'll do a vision quest to see what comes through for you, and then you live with it for a few days before you make any kinds of decisions or anything, because it takes you that long to come down from it. Once you do it, it's the best. It's the best feeling ever to be out there, just under the sky with nature, with the trees, and with all the creepy crawlers. Which I don't like spiders, but a city girl. I was born in Chicago. I didn't think I was made for the country life or the that kind of thing, but it's fun. It's fun to do. It's really fun to experience. And if you ever get a chance, any of you, then I would highly recommend it. But always have someone who knows exactly where you are. Never go out alone without people knowing where you are. So that's my only advice to all of you.
Exactly. How long did you stay out? I know you said you don't act upon anything until you have some time to process it. And I know I did a vision quest quite a few years ago. I mean, it's been quite a while. And just within the last year, one morning I woke up with this big insight relating back to the vision quest. And so, once you do that, it's with you. You can get those insights.
Yeah.
You never know when it's going to pop up again.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, you can get what you get on the day or the day, a few days after or whatever. I always say wait a few days just to sort of process everything. But that doesn't stop. You're processing it for the rest of your life. Because I look at what had happened to me in Joshua Tree, and I can always look back to that and find one thing that maybe I hadn't thought of, and always, you're always playing it over in your head, because when it happened, I thought, okay, I've gone round the bend, or I've gone cuckoo. And nobody's going to believe me, right? So, but in this community, it's great because you have that validation, because you're not the only one. You're
Mhm.
not the only person who's gone through it, who has done it, who has lived through it and survived it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love doing vision quests, and you can do one right before you go into a sweat lodge, which
Mhm.
really gives you that boost of energy, and you clear out all of the unnecessary stuff, and then you're there left with just that shell and all of the things that you've collected from your vision quests. So
Right. And also another thing I was thinking about is you don't discount anything, um,
no, no,
because until you have time to process it, or like I said, at some later date, it comes to you, something that you didn't think was significant or part of the vision quest actually turns out to be, something that you were meant to notice or
yeah,
to
yeah.
do
It's like it's a natural high. I will say it feels like that when you come out, because it's just a full body experience, because it's body, soul, mind. Everything is just all your senses are, because you're out in a dangerous place,
it.
so all of your senses are heightened, and when you come down from that, it's like, whew, you've been through it. And that's why I say give it a few days to process, because there's so much, and so much coming at you at the same time. So
Hmm.
that's the kind of I love it. I love it.
Me too. And it's so different than our normal state. I think, that's why, because it's just most of us anyway aren't spending time in nature in that type of a situation
Hmm.
anyway. So, it does take you into a different realm right from the beginning. Now, I know that you work and have some, um, I guess, tools that you use. I know you keep a medicine bundle,
Yes.
and I know sometimes I had a medicine pouch
Mm.
that I would wear that I, assume they're very similar
Hmm.
type of thing. And then also you have the medicine wheel that you actually made yourself and that you use for your work. And those two things are really interesting. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about those and how you use them.
Yeah, the first thing when you start out as in the shamanic field or shamanic realm, one of the first things you learn how to do is make a medicine bundle,
Mhm.
and or make a medicine pouch. That's the first thing you make, is a pouch. And then when you're making bundles, your pouches go into the bundle. So when you're making a pouch, it's depending on what it is that you're intending, what your intention is. You put, different things in there, berries and sticks or stones or crystals, or your hair, things, biological things that are specific to you. You put in, um, and if you go into the shamanic field, there are a lot of things that you're like, what? You want me to what? It's like, what? So I can't go into all of it, because it's really very, very ceremonial, and but your personal things go into your bundle, and then your bundle you hold for a year, and then you take it apart, and then you scatter it, give it to Mama Earth. You scatter it. You don't throw it in the garbage. You take it apart piece by piece, like you put it together piece by piece. you open it up, and then you scatter and give back to Mama Earth the things that you held so dear. And it's about giving away. It's like a giveaway of things, parts of yourself, to the planet that you've been holding very near and dear for a year. That rhymes. So so those are the kinds of things that you do with a medicine, a bag or medicine bundle. If it's a bundle, then a lot of different things go into it and are folded in to make one. And if you're ever able to go to a ceremony where a medicine man or medicine woman is making a bundle, it's so beautiful, because that's when people are playing their battles and they're playing their flutes, and all of the ingredients are passed around the circle so that everyone can bless the ingredients, and then it ends up back with the shaman, and the shaman puts it into the bundle, puts it on the bundle, and then once everything goes around the circle and everyone has a chance to bless each thing, then the shaman will fold up and close the bundle, and it's just so powerful that once that happens, and it's so beautiful. And I encourage everyone, if you get a chance to do that, then you should, because it really does connect you to the earth. It really does sort of cement that connection. So that's the bundles.
Which is so important, that connection
So
to the
important.
earth. Yeah.
So important to the earth. And if you, another thing is, if you are burning sage, like people will burn sage. A lot of people will take a bundle of sage and wrap it around, create a bundle and then burn the bundle. But there is another way, and that is like the grandmothers will say, just take one leaf. It's all you really need. One leaf is all you really need to sage the area that you're in. And it sort of is an allegory to, don't use what you don't need. Don't waste what you don't need. So if you're burning a bundle, all of those leaves get halfway burned. Maybe they get burned down somewhat. But if you use one leaf, you use the whole leaf, and it all burns, right? So that's something that the grandmothers from some different tribes will tell you. Just use the one leaf and be very judicious about how you use Mother Earth and the way you create ceremony for her. So that's another tip.
I really like that too. Just goes along with not taking more
Yeah,
than what
no
you
more
need.
than you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very important. Um,
Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to say is that when the ashes from your sage, instead of throwing it in the garbage, you find a tree and dump the ashes next to the tree after they're cooled, of course.
Yeah.
After they're cooled, you just get rid of them the next day, preferably, and just dump it near a tree, because then it actually gives back to Mama Earth. So that's another tip.
Another very good tip. We are getting close to the end of the half hour, but I just wondered if you wanted to briefly talk about the medicine wheel, because I found that so interesting. And I want to mention too that Toni's YouTube channel is listed under the video, so you can go on there and see some of these things that we're talking about.
So this wheel I made because because I wanted to convey the different levels of consciousness. So in the East, this is where all things begin. This is your consciousness If we moved here, we move into the physical, which is your self-consciousness. And then we move to the west, which is subconsciousness. And then we move to the north, which is super consciousness. So that is one aspect of the wheel. And then if you go back to the beginning, the yellow, this is for the sun. The sun rises in the morning, and that's what this represents. And then the red represents blood, the physical body. And then the black represents the dark waters of looking within, because it's the subconsciousness. And consciousness, especially in the tarot, is represented by water. I'm trying to find a card that you can find the water in. And so if you see the water on the tarot, then you know that that is the water of consciousness. It's just not just plain water. It's the water of consciousness, and it comes from the high priestess, who is the subconscious aspect of who we are. And then you move to the north, which is where the angels and guides and ancestors reside. And this is where they communicate with you in the dream state, in the higher realms. So it's got many levels, 4 colors, many levels. So I use that to sort of get in touch with where somebody is actually with their chakras. So I usually use these. These are the only things. Well, sometimes I'll use the tarot, but mostly I use these on the wheel so that I get a better idea of where you are energetically.
I like the wheel because it is a full circle, starting with, like the waking up and the waking up the unconscious, and all the way back around to the higher realms, to the higher self. So it's really interesting how it's all contained in one, wheel. That's so interesting, Toni, and the whole conversation is so interesting. There are so many other areas we could still talk about. And so hopefully we'll be able to have you back at some point to get into some of those, because we are getting ready to finish out the half hour. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to mention that coming up next week, the show will be on Wednesday instead of Thursday, so a little day change there. And my guest will be Cassie Carey, and we're going to be talking about the art of movies and filmmaking and what's involved in that, and how they're starting to change with the shift in consciousness. So I'm really excited to have Cassie on next week. So I wanted to thank you, Toni.
Thank you so much
for all your wonderful information. And if anybody wants to comment, Toni will see them after the fact, if you didn't get to comment or you're watching later. So thank you, Toni. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the wonderful viewers and subscribers. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.